Hey folks, it's day 162 of Nofap. It's Monday the 29th of March 2021, and just heading out for work. About 6:39 a.m. So bit of a late morning, but we'll see how things go. In terms of like when I actually end up getting there. I think I probably should have had my coffee a bit earlier yesterday. Kind of convinced myself to go and keep consuming the caffeine because I thought I needed to, but just kind of made it really hard to get to sleep. And anyways, so I kind of got up a little bit late, but I think in addition, like honestly, like need to like estimate the amount of time that it takes me to consume breakfast and all that, because I had I had 4 boiled eggs and a bunch of slices of roast turkey for breakfast, and my standard cup of coffee with sugar-free creamer. So really trying to stick with the whole low-carb diet thing. Hopefully it'll stave off any cravings that I might have at work today. And as I'm driving to work today, I'm getting some physical pains. Not my stomach or so, but like lower right abdomen, which kind of been on and off for a while now. Just my thought to mention, because I'm kind of experiencing this stuff right now. I really don't know what it is, but I'm wondering if it just is like muscle strain or something else. But I think anytime I have this sort of stuff, when I'm going through my life and I'm having to get up really tired, or just really kind of feeling the sort of exertion of life, so to speak. I'm kind of like realizing that I can't keep exerting myself to some extreme or some maximum. I really don't know like what any of these issues I might be having are, but even if I didn't have that, which I just mentioned, there's also just the general exertion of life. And this is like why not only am I yet again like so dead set on or focused on getting certain things to straighten out in my life, but this is why like I'm kind of like of this mindset that I can't be taking on other people's problems. I gotta take care of my own stuff and keep myself separate from that. And well, reason for a lot of that mindset right now is not only the stuff that I mentioned, but I'm kind of concerned that it might be appendicitis or something of that nature. I've thrown out the possibility of hernias, but anyways, I have been out of contact with my family for a while now, but I text my dad just to see how things are going with him, and after updating me, then he still insists that I gotta like apologize to my mom and all that, and I don't want to be in contact with any of them, except for maybe my dad. But truth is, like, with the way things are with them, it's kind of like, inevitably I get dragged into or wrapped up in their problems and the stuff that they've done to themselves and to each other. And so much of the reason why, when my dad was in the hospital and, my mom was, of course, misdiagnosing everything and, making me think that my dad was on his deathbed. So much of the reason why I got so angry and I, yelled at her on the phone was because, I see the cause and effect. I see like, okay, this is why like my dad is in his, mid-60s now, and having to look for a job and, having high blood pressure issues and sleep deprivation and all that kind of stuff, because of having to worry about money and finances and all that kind of stuff. And, they've never had to really connect the dots or deal with that kind of stuff. It's always been like they could fall back on the usual, it's not my fault, it's not my problem, being more concerned about their feelings and their ego than, the reality of the matter, the truth of the matter, doing everything in their power to avoid having uncomfortable conversations or facing uncomfortable truths and, making any changes to their ways, because, always in the mindset that, daddy will always be there, daddy will always be there to take care of everything. I don't have to change, it's not my problem, it's not my fault, that kind of deal. And, worst case scenario, I'll find somebody to blame, that sort of a deal. Even furthermore, that whole, all of that kind of wrapped up in one of, I don't gotta take responsibility, I don't gotta change. It's all about defending my, ego or my feelings. That's sort of a scenario. All different branches or subsets of it. And it'd be almost like if you were, it's almost like if you were in the trenches, of some war, and instead of doing what's necessary, changing the strategy, changing their ways, it'd be kind of like having someone there who wanted to spend time arguing about whose fault it was that this, that, the other happened, or whatever, instead of doing what was necessary and changing and, adapting or, carrying out the orders that, were necessary to be carried out in order to win. Being more concerned about, whose fault it was as opposed to, okay, this needs to change, or not taking any ownership, And, again, it's sort of like, it's their problem, it's their issues, it's their stuff that I'm getting dragged into, and that's why I got so mad. It was like, okay, I've seen this coming down the pipeline, tried to warn everyone, no one wanted to listen, and now being dragged into this, and, realizing also that as bad as I feel for my dad, as concerned as I get with that kind of stuff, it's sort of like he's part of it. I mean, when he'll go and defend my mom or defend my sister, try and shield them from consequences, shield them from ever having to, own up to the fact that they got themselves into the situations that they're in. That they've, gotten him into the situation, what they've done to me. Shield, protect, that sort of deal, and deflect. Again and again and again. And if you can tell from the fact that I'm saying the same words over and over again, repeating myself, honestly, it's been this sort of repetitive cycle. And it's sort of it's really tough because I realize I have to not care and I have to be uninvolved, and I'm not gonna go and apologize. Not because I'm trying to stand on my ego or something like that, but it's just I'm not gonna go and do things that are gonna make them feel justified or okay, and I also just honestly don't care. But it's kind of like he's part of it, he facilitates this sort of stuff. It's kind of like my mom would have her huge drink fest and get blackout drunk and end up in the hospital. For a time there, my dad would be like, putting his foot down, be like, this is it, we're not doing this anymore, blah blah blah, not tolerating this. And then a short bit later, you'd see him going to the store and buying her more booze, and I'd be like, okay, hold on a second, you're saying you can't do this anymore, it's not going on, we're not tolerating this, and then you go and you cave in within like a week or two, or even maybe he'd hold up for a month, cave in, and then go back to the same old thing until the next big blow up, and him always doing things like, oh, no, I'm not in pain, I'm not suffering, I'm not going through sort of stuff. And to a certain extent, like in life, there are some times you just gotta hack it, and you can't be whining or complaining at the slightest exertion or whatever. But there's also a limit. And whenever I'm dealing with these muscle strains or muscle pains, or I'm thinking I might have some major issue, possibility of some major health problem or so developing at this age, my mid-30s, it becomes that much more clear to me that that I can't be going and taking that same path as my dad is taking it, where it's like, him, I mean, he's had his own health problems, stuff like that started, even like way back in his mid to late 30s, and stuff that he basically was like, oh, I'm gonna pretend like I don't got this sort of stuff, I'm not gonna go get surgery, I'm not gonna do any of this sort of stuff, which is so freaking stupid as far as I'm concerned, especially if you look at back the way the world used to be, where it was things were a lot easier, I think, in certain ways. If you want to talk about just being able to go to the doctor and get certain things taken care of because things weren't shut down because of a pandemic, you could get in there and get the kind of treatment that that was available to resolve this issue or that issue, instead of just going on pretending like there aren't any problems and pretending that somebody else's aches and pains or their self-inflicted problems are somehow way more important than your major health issues, whether it's hernias or something to do with your cardiovascular health or blood pressure or whatever, or mental health. I can't take that sort of mindset, and maybe it makes me come off as this like self-absorbed prick to a lot of people that I know or in my family, because they have their sort of angle on things where it's very like tribalistic and protect a certain subset of the population and sacrifice the other half, that sort of deal. And you get into topics of like male disposability and tribalism and all that kind of stuff, and very much seeing people come from the perspective of like that blood is thicker than water and you gotta stick with your family no matter what, and it's something that I think it's ingrained in us, honestly, because in the past, if and it's not like this couldn't be the case nowadays. I mean, it really depends upon like your ability to support yourself, but if you take care of your health and you're not unemployed and you got some sorts of income that you can cover your cost of living, at the very least, you can be independent, and that whole gotta stick with your tribe, sort of a deal doesn't really apply. And like in the past, it definitely did apply, and I think that became ingrained in humanity. It's something that I've heard said before, and I definitely agree with it. I do think that it is true that it's sort of this instinct ingrained in us that if you don't stick with the tribe, you're going to die. You're out in the wilderness, you're out in the middle of nowhere, and if you go off the beaten path, you leave the tribe, you go off on your own, like some wild animal is going to pick you off, or there's going to be some other tribe or some other, people are going to like kill you or so. And so because of that instinct, a lot of us will stay in, abusive situations and abusive families when, it would be far better for us just to get up and leave. We might not think that there's a door open for us to leave and to go off, and that we can actually, exist or subsist on our own, to be, independent and survive. But it's far more possible nowadays than it probably was in the past. And feels like that pain's going away. I'm not really sure. It might just be, I don't know what it is. But, I'll be honest, like for the last year and a half, I really haven't exercised all that much, and I haven't done that much for stretches, and I've been very much dealing with a lot of sleep deprivation, and for the most part, I've honestly not been on that great of a diet. I wonder if it just might be electrolyte level. That's another thing. Like, it might not be something super serious requiring surgery, like like appendicitis or a hernia. I know I was getting I've been getting tingling sensations in not in my left arm, but also my right arm, and different areas of my body. And I think from what I read, it might possibly just be electrolyte levels, which might be a good reason for me. Another reason for me to be getting on this sort of low carb diet. Insofar as I find low carb options that provide the electrolyte levels that I need, because when I haven't been on this diet, I don't know, it's kind of like you end up eating stuff like donuts and pastries and all that, which it's just like calories and sugar and and fat and that sort of stuff, and it's not really nutrient rich. And I can see how that would cause electrolyte imbalances. You do that for a long enough time, that can affect your health. And then obviously the fact that the most physical exertion I get is when I'm up on my feet, lifting things, moving stuff around, and I put on weight, so I've got weight imbalances, which can then cause muscle strain. I don't know what exactly, if all the over the last year and a half would cause appendicitis to break out if that happened. Generally speaking, eat clean food. What I'm saying. When I say clean, I don't let food sit out for a long time and then eat it. I typically very much I buy what I eat and I eat right then and there. It's freshly cooked and all that. So I don't know how I'd be getting any sort of infection in that sense, unless there's some other possibility going on. But I got some possibilities on my mind, but it honestly, I think it honestly feels more like muscle strain, and I'm hoping it's just that muscle strain or just electrolyte balances. But again, it's sort of like an indication not only that I need to be taking care of myself, I need to somehow get around to getting a checkup, so to speak. I obviously know, some of this what the doctor's going to say is okay, you need to lose some weight. That's definitely a risk factor. The physical activity stuff, that's there. I honestly feel like it'd be a heck of a lot easier to do that if I just, if I lost some weight to begin with, just in terms of mobility. Not sure about the other stuff, but again, it's kind of like this saying that I can't be doing this forever, and I'm not going to put myself in a situation further than I, already am in, where I'm going to be expected to be basically kind of like paying for somebody else's, mistakes or screw-ups. I gotta work however long it's going to take to pay off my own debts, and that's all fine and well. It's kind of like I earned that by taking out those student loans, and I'd say there were like 3 or 4 years that were like on me as far as like let me see. Yeah, let's say 4 years to be fair. 4 years to be fair, that were on me as far as like me not having a direction or not being on my mission, and sort of wasting some of my youth. But then there were the times there were the times that it was sort of like, okay, even under best case scenarios, even if it wasn't for myself and then the effect of my family, their decisions and actions, there would just be those years that I would have to inevitably spend in college. And then there are the years that I lost because of the effect of stuff that my family did. But either way, it's kind of like I signed on the dotted line, and I gotta pay off these debts. And I paid off most of my student loans, but it's kind of like, assuming I can hack it through the rest of the year, if nothing major happens, and somehow like I figure out a way to get into the doctor, assuming that again that they'll even like let me in at this point, because it's sort of because of COVID, the pandemic, and all that. I'll just have to, hopefully by the end of the year, get 2 out of the 4 remaining loans, which one of them's a student loan, the other is a car loan. The 2 ones that I'm trying to get paid off, get those paid off. Like once I'm out of debt, again, assuming I get there, I'm doing my damnedest to not create more debt, and it may mean me having to flip the script on, a lot of the stuff I've idealistically been wanting to do, which is like, oh, I'll help with this, I'll help with that, because truth is that the moment you open up to that with certain people, it's sort of like they try and ring you for all you're worth. And the deal with folks like that is they never change until they absolutely positively have to, and things get so bad that there's no like other option. And oftentimes by that point in time, there's really no sort of way out. Like with my mom and my sister, it's like they've had to seriously screw up their own lives, and secondary and tertiary to that, the lives of other people, to the extent that they are where they're at, where they're at financially and otherwise, and that so many people who would have cared, who would have stepped in or stepped up to take care of them or take care of their needs or so, just are not able to or willing to. And I don't want to be that next sacrificial lamb, because again, like, I'm not willing to go and pretend like this, that, and the other isn't affecting me, and that, oh, I can just do that, and I'll just, be that sacrificial lamb so I can be a good little Billy Beta Bucks, and, be like a good little lamb led to the slaughter, so that somebody that else doesn't have to face the consequences of their own actions, This is I'm having to face the consequences of my actions. So, to that end, going to work now. A few minutes late, but not too bad. And hopefully today, again, assuming nothing major happens, just gonna get through work. And I got like a problem set that I've put down on my scheduler to do as part of my preparation for the midterm next week. So other than that, just gonna take care of my responsibilities and get through the day. And stay 162 of Nofap, and I'll see you folks around. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.